This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hey there, it's Michelle, and I want to help you to live an epic story lifestyle. So, I'd like for you to do me a favor. Go over to epicstorylifestyle.com/live life to grab a free copy of my Hacks for Living an Epic Story Lifestyle checklist. Thanks.
You are listening to Epic Story Lifestyle. Welcome back, boys and girls, for story time with Michelle Spiva. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. Hey, JR. How you doing?
I'm awesome. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, and I'm kind of excited to see where you take us today.
Well, we're going to go into some more of my wacky, mind-bending thoughts here. Today, I'm wanting to talk about something that has recently come up, and okay, let me just tell the story. Okay, how about we do that? I want to title this, "You Might Be a Sophomore If." You know, I want to borrow from the famous comedian Jack Foxworthy's way of looking at stuff. And I'm going to say you might be a sophomore if you've read one article on CNN and now you are the expert of all things on that subject. You might be a sophomore if you have gotten all of your education about a topic from the commercials and the things that you've seen on TV about that topic. You might be a sophomore if you've never read or interacted with contrary information that goes against your beliefs on a subject. Now, I don't want to come off as cold and bitter. I do not. But
are you sure?
It's too late. I was talking with some people close to me, and there are certain things that I have been taught over and over again not to do, and that is not to discuss politics, sex, or religion. And yet and still, I did the most stupidest thing and hit some of those topics. And, I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all, but I'm really I'm really by faith living an epic story lifestyle. So I dare to go into and investigate stuff for myself. I dare to actually, okay, let me just say this. Do y'all know that if you type in academic into Google before you do a search, it will put you out of the common area of results and put you into peer-reviewed articles and things like that if the subject has been looked at with that type of discerning filter. You can read abstracts, and sometimes you can get even access to papers on research and things like that about a topic.
Wow.
Did you know that, JR?
I did not. Now I'm going to use that little trick.
Yeah. And so, I do know that is, only reason why I possibly know that is because of having to have used this kind of information on different topics that I look at and investigate. But what I'm going to say is this, is that we've been talking about the different books that we're reading, and there's this book that I am just in love with called How to Read a Book. And it was written back in the 40s, and it still stands the test of time today. Again, it's a very dense book, and you cannot just run through it like a dime store novel. You have to take time to let it gestate and marinate a little bit. But they talk about this little area about sophomoric thinking. And the etymology of the word comes from the Greek, and that's where we got a lot of the way we in the Western culture set up our schools with argument and all this type of stuff. And I'm not going down that route, but what I'm going to say is this: it is a sad thing when you have a false sense of wisdom based on the regurgitation of other people's vomit.
Wow.
And what I mean is that you get this surface knowledge, and because it resonates so much with you, you take it as gospel, and then you go and trumpet it and actually try to beat other people over the head with it to accept it as well. Now, am I wanting you to be philosophical and have all these deep discourses on information? No, but what I am trying to say is even if you believe something, possibly consider that there are going to be alternate ways of looking at things. One of the big applications of this is the troll phenomena that I'm seeing in social media. We did a show, and of course I know you remember it, but we did a show for the listeners, if you want to go back, that talked about, so you've been shamed and talking about the effect that social media has on people's psyche. And one of the components of that is that it is happening more and more because you have this troll mentality. And the trolls, and I don't want to call everybody a troll, but the troll mentality is giving birth to people being able to flippantly give harsh judgment based on just one simple little statement or sentence, and then you are ready to pronounce all kind of hideous judgments on people. I mean, there are even people that have gone so far as to say they hate someone based on one snapshot of one thing that they saw on social media. And this is sophomore thinking at its finest, because you saw one incident, or for those people that say, well, no, I went and looked, I vetted them, I looked at all their social media, and all you did is you took the parts that confirmed what you thought about them, and you've not spent one breath in the real with them. You don't know their circumstances, and you really don't even know the resources and tools they had at the time when they did whatever they did. So at best, you might be getting 15% of who they are, and making a vast judgment on them. And it really has bothered me, because it is counter to living an epic story lifestyle. Going back to this book about the sophomore thinking and the plague that it wrought, is that it starts to erode the morality of a culture. Now that's really deep, and I'm still wrestling with the fact that I am guilty of sophomore thinking, and I've really been looking at that. Going back to the earlier story, when I was talking about having interactions recently. In our society, we're dealing with political issues and things right now. And I was having a discourse, or I don't even want to call it that. I was having a one-sided conversation with somebody trying to get me to see their point on something.
Good luck.
And I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. And, I simply asked, well, what are the tenets of your beliefs for this party affiliation? And they were like, oh, don't try to get off the subject. I was like, wait a minute. If you say that you are affiliated with a certain political party, you should at least know. Maybe just even, I won't even ask you for the top 3. What's the biggest tenet of the party? And they thought I was trying to degrade them.
Wow.
But that doesn't matter. I've been one all my life. My family has been one. I'm like, but you don't know what you believe. So... yeah, it was very dangerous, because it was an amalgamation of a twisted idea that has been able to go in. And I was like, I said, you can even go to Wikipedia and read the tenets of what this party believes. And when you read it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I am so far off the mark, to the point that they're into these para versions of the political belief system. And it just really was scary, because if you look at that and you play this to the end of the chess game to checkmate, like this book, How to Read a Book, said way back in 1940, you can easily see how this can indeed destroy the morality of a culture.
Wow.
And so for me, being able to be blessed to have this platform to say this, for those 2 or 3 people out there, I believe by faith that y'all are listening. Thank you so much. I want to pique your interest to be able to move onward. I mean, I even want to, let me just give me this opportunity to read the definition. If you just go and Google the definition of a sophomore, there is a reason why in college, upper level courses past your general basic knowledge of high school, they give certain things a name. So a freshman, I mean, most people get that. You are fresh. This is new to you. You are a freshman. And then it is funny that the second phase or even second year of your training is that you are a sophomore. Now, here is the definition of a sophomore. A sophomore is one who is conceited and overconfident of the knowledge, but poorly informed and immature. I'm going to say that again. A sophomore is one who is conceited and overly confident of knowledge, but poorly informed and immature. Now, the thing about this is most people might think, oh, conceited and overly confident, but that's not the big problem here. The big problem is you're poorly informed. And that is the essence that I'm seeing, that if you decide that you're going to have this epic story lifestyle, but you're poorly informed, you have knowledge, but you don't even know how to properly ingest the knowledge, that's being poorly informed. There are a lot of people that hold a lot of facts and think that they are wise, and they are sophomoric because they don't know how to be properly informed, and thus they are immature. And to be immature is to believe that your way is the only way. Whenever you're looking at exclusion, exclusion and in exclusivity, those are triggers to let you know that you might be moving into this sophomoric range. When when you look at people that are saying, our way is the only way. Think of these secret clubs and societies and all of that kind of stuff, and the reason why they usually implode from within is because the conceited, overly confident knowledge that they know it all is the problem, right? And so to be able to live an epic storied lifestyle, these are some of the things I'd like to ask for you to do. You might be a sophomore if, remember, you only see things as your way. Instead, I'm not saying that you become wishy-washy and believe anything that anybody else tells you. What I am saying is to go and purposefully look at counter arguments to your belief system. What I also am saying is to, that old adage, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Try as best you can to empathize, not sympathize, empathize with the other person. Because like I said before, with the social media, you don't know the resources they had to come to the decision where they are. And when you become inclusive, to be able to force yourself to stretch that gray matter muscle called your brain to look at other ways of seeing things, you're going to be amazed at how you get these residual benefits of being able to hold a higher capacity for love for your neighbor. That's a blessing right there. Of being able to be gracious and patient. And all of these wonderful things that the golden rule, treat others as you'd have them treat yourself, comes to you. Now, I don't want to be preachy-teachy about this because I'm highly convicted of the fact that I'm trying to move past being a sophomore. Because isn't it funny that after you move from being a sophomore, then they call you a junior? Have you thought about that, JR?
Not till right now.
You would think that after moving from a freshman, you'd be a junior, right? And then a senior. But no, they say after you get over your conceitedness and humble yourself, then you become junior, meaning a place of humility and subjugation to the fact that you don't know it all. You become a junior. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to say. Now, I do have a muse moment. It used to really, I'm going to just be honest with you, it used to make me mad when my grandma would say this or my mom would say this to me. But now I understand it from a different aspect. And they would, especially when I was I was feeling myself. You don't understand, and times aren't like they used to be. We've all done that to our parents. And I remember my mom, my grandmother would look at us and just, you knew it was coming. I'd get on that role like, you don't understand. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I remember one time specifically, it was a concert I wanted to go to. And I was told I couldn't go. And my grandmother was the one who had said no. And my mom had backed her up. My mom was like, my mom said no because it was on a college campus and they both, were affiliated with a college and all of that. And so my grandmother looked at me in the face and without blinking an eye, she said, honey, I've been where you've got to go. I am not your friend. I am your elder and you will respect that. And at that moment, I was seething. But then I found out that the kids my age who did go to the concert ended up being in a melee where there was fighting and gunshots. Yes, indeed. And she didn't do the I told you so, but she was like, if you keep on listening to me, you could add some more days to your life. So I just want you guys to know, the Muse moment is when you hear wisdom, don't be a fool and deny it. It can add days to your life, so don't be so sophomoric. JR, what do you think about that?
I'm struggling with some of that. I have problems with my empathy muscle, but it makes me think of this fun word. It's a fun word that I learned earlier this year, and I don't know if I shared it with you, but a dilettante, a person who cultivates an area of interest, such as the arts, without real commitment or knowledge. And so that's what I kept thinking about the whole time, is these people that think they know more than they actually know. And look, I've been there, and that's the other thing I'm struggling with. I'm damn stubborn. It's the podcast factory, right? Everything's got to be just the way I say. And so that's what I love about your show, is you at least make me think. I get introspective when I listen to your stories, and I try to figure out how I can be a better person.
Well, you know what? I think that stubbornness is a virtue, especially when you know that you have that capacity to stick and stay, and yet you still hold a contrary ability to know that there's more you need to know. So I think that's very powerful.
Interesting.
I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But I do want to, like I said, I started alluding to it, and so I just want to talk about me for a minute here.
You don't say.
I don't say, yes, indeed. Come on, JR. I live for these moments. But what I'll say is this. I teach people and coach people on how to become great storytellers. And I have been sorely convicted of my own sophomoric beliefs. Not even sophomoric that my way is the only way, but sophomoric in that another school of thought, the ones that are not self-taught like me, but who actually go to university and learn their craft and hone their craft, could ever understand what we do as self-published independent authors. And I've been schooled recently because they are not idiots. They are not drones who only believe that traditionally published is the only way to go. I have been blessed to be able to interact with a lot of people who have had to, unlike me, totally start over and over and over in the same industry over the years. I was blessed to meet a lady who is she's got her first published work in the mid 80s. Wow. And she was forced to write under a pen name that looked like a man because of the genre. She wrote in sci-fi in the genre that she was writing in at the time, and then having to go from that to then moving into the early 2000s, where it was all about the trying to get the movie deals and all of this, to then having to move into the 2010s, where she was fighting to even just keep a contract. And then having to learn that, you know what, the publishers are not giving out what they used to, and the time has come for you to have to scrap all of this, get your rights back and start over from nothing.
Wow.
And become an independently published author. And this woman has done it. And it's so many of them out there that I had to go and lick my wounds because I had been touting, us against them. The traditionally published are pampered and spoiled, and us against them. And I think this is probably the first time I'm actually even saying it out loud because I'm repentant because I've been so sophomoric. And so I want to just say, all of us, we're not gonna always get it right. And for me to live this epic story lifestyle, I want to say uncle and admit when I'm wrong and expand my ability to hold a different view on life and things. And so that's where I am right now, in understanding that I don't know it all. And just like them, I'll most likely have to keep reinventing myself if I want to stay viable and be able to continue to eat in this great profession that we called writing and being a novelist. So that's what I wanted to say about where I am and what's happening with me with regards to this.
Good stuff, Michelle. So what do you have coming up for us next time?
Okay, so the one thing that I will say is that you guys definitely want to stick around because I'm going to be carrying this forward, and I'm going to be talking about are you symbolically illiterate? When the symbols become too real. And I really want you guys to stick around, come back next week and listen to that with us. So that's what I've got, JR.
Sounds good. So that is a wrap for another Epic Story Lifestyle. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in, and we will be back next time.
Yay. Bye.
Hey, Michelle here again. If you like today's show, remember to go to iTunes and in the search bar, type Epic Story Lifestyle. And when you see me, hit that subscribe button. If you really like today's show, hey, come on, do me a solid by giving a rating and a review. If you've got questions, comments, or even show topics you'd like to hear me cover in the future, tell me about them when you leave that wonderful review. All right, my time is up and I thank you for yours. See you next time. Now go out, make some great decisions that give you that epic story lifestyle.
This is the podcastfactory.com.